So let's look at February 2026 Guelph real estate numbers. So I'm going to take you through the overall, and then I'm going to dive down into detached and then condos with 2 bedroom, and let you know exactly what's happening. There is an opportunity here. I'll tell you what it is when we get to it. So let's begin. And let's begin with the median sale price, and that's the number that is in the middle of the data range. For year to date on the far right side here, you can see prior year to date, which is January, February of 2025. The average sale price or median sale price was 779, I should say, versus 700,000. That's a 10% decrease year over year for the first 2 months. And when we look at the median list price, you can see that it has come down, not as much as the sale price. The median list price is down 2.6%, down to 700, and we'll call that 50,000 versus 770,000. And we can see that in the listing volume that it's down about 2% versus the first 2 months of last year. So right now for January, February, it was 509 versus 519. So it just shows that with these first three numbers, list prices have come down, but so has the selling price, so has the volume. So even though prices are trending downward a little bit, it hasn't activated buyers to come off the side. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with the weather. And I think the other thing is confidence in the economy, confidence in job security are two of the things that are, I think, underwriting this trend. And when we look at how many properties in total are selling below list price, we can see that that has really jumped up over last year. So the first 2 months of last year was 66%. It's jumped up 15%, up to 76%. So 3/4 of listings sold below their list price. And what did they sell for? Well, the median and average are actually the same. Last year, it was pretty much full list price. You can see it was 98.6, so we'll call that 99%, and now it's 98%. So it's dropped a little bit. So it's following the trend that we're seeing. In terms of days on market, of course, that has creeped up to 46, but I'm telling you that's not probably accurate. And I'll tell you why. 46 is when the house sold, but that house might have been listed and either the listing canceled or suspended. And when that happens and it gets relisted, the days on market counter starts again. So I would actually expect this number to be anywhere from probably 60 to upwards to 80 days on market. And we can see that the termination volume, that is the number of properties that have been terminated, is up 27% over last year. 154 of them were terminated. Again, a lot of those would have been relisted. So let's look at detached homes and see where they're sitting right at the moment. And they have come down, the median sale price down 6.8% from 872,000 for the first 2 months of last year down to just over 810,000, 813,000. And we can see that the trend for detached homes has come down about 15%. Last year, the first 2 months, it was 111 units. And now this year, it's 94 homes have sold. Interestingly enough, though, the list price has actually gone up. So the expectation of selling more is gone up over the first 2 months of last year. It's riding in around 960,000 up to, 1,070,000 versus last year it was 900 to just below 995. And that represents anywhere from 6.7% to 7.5% increase in list price. So sellers are thinking that the market is better than it was. And in fact, the numbers are showing the opposite. And I think the weather had a lot to do with that for sure. And when we look at what homes are selling below list price, Again, it's pretty much the same, 68%. It's down, says 2% down to 67% are, so 2/3 of them are selling below their list price, and they're selling for 98%, which is pretty much the same as last year. It's just off a part of percent. Days on market, you can see is 34. Definitely detached homes, if they're sold right, if they're priced right and are staged and have great photography, they are turning around. So this 34 days on market, I think, is actually relatively accurate, even though it has crept up. But we would expect that, given that this volume is down, the sale price is down. So that's to be expected. So let's look at what's happening in the condo market. Oh, just one last thing about detached. If you're a retiree thinking of downsizing, we really haven't hit the spring market yet. February is kind of slow. We've seen sort of the velocity of sales definitely slow down. Velocity is how fast things are selling. And definitely January, February are the lowest for the last since 2020. So in the height of COVID, they were like 7 houses a day selling. Now it's down to about 3 houses selling per day for detached. So let's go into the condo market. And here's where the median sale price has definitely come down 7%. So last year, the first 2 months, condos were selling, anywhere from 497 up to about 506,000. That range has lowered down to 470 to about 479,000, down about anywhere between 4 and 7%. But interestingly enough, the transaction volume is still 32 units for condos. An interesting point regarding the velocity of sales, so how fast they're selling. For months, for condos specifically, the velocity was just under 1 condo sold per day. It's now up to around 3 condos per day. So that's very encouraging news for sure. And now, in terms of list price, we're seeing that the median is around 6% less, which makes sense in my mind. I'll tell you why, because I know that about 40% of condos are vacant. So sellers are not living there, but they still have the costs of carrying if they have a mortgage, property taxes, condo fees, some insurance, and probably some utilities. So that expectation in sale price is slowly coming down, which is a good thing. And when we look at the average at list price, it's about 9%, and below list price, it's 84%. Now that's actually gone down. Last year, for the first 2 months, it was 94% all sold below list price. Now it's down to 85%, which is about a 10% decrease. And when we look at days on market, again, 57, it says 57, but I'm sure if we calculated when it was first listed and when it finally sold, that total days on market was probably somewhere between at least 60 to 80 days on market. So that is condos. But finally, let's look at the last thing, and that is 2-bedroom condos, which are the most common. And here is what's happening there. So they're selling for around 438,000, maybe up to 490,000. There was 12 of them last month sold. The median list price is 525 to 587. In terms of below list price, 3/4 of them versus 93% sold below list price, and that represents 99%, and still about the same as last year. So those are the ones that are actually within the condo market probably doing the best, because they are the most popular. And so you have the best, I would say, luck in terms of getting those sold. So that's the market update for now. Thanks for watching.